Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm Amina, and today I have here Derek Gauer, and he and I. Hello, Derek. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Good. How you doing, Amina?
I'm doing great, and we just connected recently via email through the website. And you reached out because you had a great interest in common law. You have experience
Oh
in common law, and I really liked what you had to say. So I thought, you know
yeah.
what? Let's get you on the show. Let's talk about your, involvement, your experiences, so others can learn and share. As you know, I've been doing a series of interviews with Christopher James, and it's been really very helpful. The feedback and comments have been fantastic. So I'd like to just continue with some more examples of that. And first of all, I'd like to just do a little recap. So I know Christopher has been working diligently on his cases, and he's been. We did a show with a gentleman by the name of Tim and his retail shop, the Water Bottle Shop, and he forwarded his letters and documents and complaints to the public courts in his jurisdiction to his mayor. And last I heard, he had not heard back from them yet. Christopher may have done a follow-up on his video. Definitely go to his site, awarriorcalls.com and A Warrior Calls on YouTube. So you can find him there as well. A lot of great information, especially on his website. So I just wanted to say that firsthand. And I also have, as you know, I work with Norman Traversy and his prosecution case, and he's working diligently on his case for common law in the common law courts. I said, hey, Norman, you got to get out of the civil process and you got to get into the common law court. So it's been great.
Yeah.
He's just flying with that. So of course, all these things take time. But so first of all, let's talk a little bit about what is so current right now. And the gentleman, Adam, over in Toronto with the barbecue restaurant.
Yeah.
Wow, what do you think of that?
This is gonna blow up. I'm gonna tell you right now. I was just actually I've been watching it diligently through the week.
Mm-hmm.
Every day that he was going in there, letting his customers in or whatever, and Adam talking with the police officers, and then the hammer came down yesterday on him. I think to the surprise to many people. And I was actually watching Ezra Levant's show today because he was doing a follow-up right away about it.
I
so
saw
he had
that.
The court documents on there, yeah. And there's definitely some fishy stuff going on with those court documents.
No kidding. And he's a former, he's practiced law, so he seems to have some sort of understanding to this, yeah.
Correct. And I'd actually like to get those documents, so I kind of put a comment in on that video to see if he can give me a link to that, or I might have to request them through the proper channels. We'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, the cops did a big no-no yesterday. They had no authority to do that.
Right. Well, they got permission from a health profession, one of the health organizations.
Yeah, Davila.
Yeah. Right.
Sorry, but the cops don't work for the cops aren't a politician's personal hit squad.
Unreal.
You know, that doesn't work like that.
No.
So I'm going to be interested to see how Adam's lawyers tackle this, because I definitely think there should be some backlash to the police because of it. Right?
Absolutely.
So what they did is it's not right, especially sending that many cops in. Really, there was no violence there whatsoever, so it doesn't make
weren't there
sense,
like cars? Yeah, and weren't there like cars upon cars, police cars, just dozens of them that just showed up, and police obviously.
Because Joe Warmington, he was there from the Sun. He gave an excellent article on it last night. He was saying at one point there was like 18 officers there or something, not the mounted ones, just the guys on foot. So that's a lot of cop cars.
That's a lot of cop cars, and they were there on horses as well. And now I know Christopher James has reached out to Adam, and apparently he's going to try to help him with what's going on. And I think that will be very interesting to watch. And I thought of that right away. I'm like, wow, Adam's got to get the common law practices going here, because not the civil process, and he's got to denounce.
Well, it's not even. It's actually above that, because we're talking about civil rights violations on the within the civil law, or you know what I mean. So you could actually hit this thing from two ends.
Yeah, he has to denounce himself from the civil process. He has to announce that right away, right, to them first. And exactly. Very interesting. So, okay, so for yourself, tell me, what have you done? What experience have you had? Because you've been through the process and you've gone to the
Oh
common law
man,
court.
yeah, like I tend to tackle the system from within the system.
Okay.
I've had successes there. For me, it all actually started out through my process with my ex-wife. Um
Okay.
I had a lawyer way back when. Now we're going back to about 2003-ish,
Mm-hmm.
2002. And through my process, getting my separation agreement with my lawyer, in the end, he ended up sending me a bill for $16,000. And I
Oh,
was
wow.
just like, yeah, I don't think so. Like,
Yeah,
I paid it, but
it's
I'm
pretty
like, I don't,
scary.
yeah, it's crazy. So at that point, I just decided I was going to tackle stuff on my own. And
Good for you.
yeah, the situation with my ex-wife is pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I've already said this on my podcast, but pretty much my ex-wife has never let me see my child for
Oh,
no particular reason.
okay.
Okay, and I pay all this money for child support. I don't know why. You know what I mean? Like it never made any sense. And the FRO has done a lot of stuff to me. You
Oh,
know, like they've suspended my driver's license probably about a dozen times, and they've you know, they always tackling my garnishing my wages and things like this. You know what I mean? But nothing ever seems to happen to her. So this is kind of, there was a massive imbalance that was happening within the courts, and I never felt that was correct, because justice is about balance. You
sure.
know, and I've always been on the short end of the stick. So
Okay.
uh, this is where I decided that I was going to fight them and fight their process. So this process has been going on since that time in court. It's still not resolved yet, uh, mainly because right now, strictly because of COVID. I don't think the courts are operating at full capacity right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also dealing with a traffic case out in Renfrew.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got pulled over by the cops, he gave me a summons. I went to the court that day, but there was a big sign on the door saying that they were closed due to COVID. But there was a number there to call. So I called the number, and they said, we don't know when the court's going to reopen, so we'll let you know when it does.
Okay.
So, you know, there's that I'm waiting on. And probably with my ex-wife, if we can get through the COVID thing, I'd like to get back into court maybe February-ish and deal with that.
So
And
what's your
through my
process?
process,
Yeah, and how did you start it? Like, what have you experienced so far? Because you have been in the public courts, right?
yeah, like, so basically, I kind of started looking at the common law practice. Couple of YouTube pages of guys I was looking at and how they tackled it. I kind of started along the lines of the Article 61 of the Magna Carta, because all our laws are based off either the Magna Carta or the British North American Treaty, right?
Right.
And there's very interesting things in those documents, because one of the things I was fighting in court is income tax.
Good for
That's one of
you.
the biggest. That's a big deception in this country.
Yeah.
Uh, like even in the British North American Treaty, line 81 and 83 specifically says it is highly illegal for the federal government to be charging its private citizens income tax.
It is. It
One of the,
actually does say that. You're absolutely
yeah,
right. And also what people don't understand is, and the typical comeback to that is, well, who's going to pay for the roads? And I can't stand hearing that, because all
yeah,
sales tax pays for everything.
correct. Yeah,
Everything else
HST covers it
goes to
all.
them 100%.
Yeah,
And
and the problem with
it's fraud. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, our government is so overinflated, they have to charge people income tax just to cover their asses. You know what I mean? Like there's
That's right.
just not enough money there. So I think one of the processes we're going to have to look at going forward is deflating the government size, because
Yeah,
there's absolutely it's not necessary. You know?
absolutely. So you go to the
So
courthouse. Now you decide to file, and you go to the courthouse and you have your paperwork. How did you go about doing your paperwork? Or can you give an
okay,
example
so
of how you wrote
yeah,
that up?
Okay, so for my paperwork, basically what I'll say, I'll just kind of outline the basic things I'm looking the court to award me.
Hmm.
At that point, it was just like I wanted basic access to my child. I was kind of looking to have it moved to a supervised access center, the one specifically on Parkdale, just to get kind of the ball rolling. Because in my separation agreement, it was stated that I had certain days of access, and that was to increase over time, but it never happened.
Okay.
So that's kind of why I wanted to remove it out of her hands and put it into somebody else's. And
Sure.
so when I file stuff like that, I don't put in any, because I emailed you some documents that are pretty interesting
Right.
from the Supreme Court. And I don't file those documents because as soon as you do that, there's a damn good chance, like Tom Quiggin and those guys have experienced, that they're not going to let you into the courtroom because
Okay.
they know what's coming, right? They know they're guilty. So what I try to do is present it once the judge allows me to speak. I'm usually the first one. I present my case and then I say, listen, but what you're doing is not legal. And then I say,
Right.
this is the evidence I have. Will you allow me an indulgence to present the evidence? 99.9% of the time, the judge will allow you to do that. So then
Okay.
once you speak, you just read the law. In
Hmm.
this case, it was section 52, subsection 1 of the charter, and section 32 of the charter. And then I just kind of read off what the Supreme Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court rulings have been on those two charter laws from previous cases. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to win because it
Re-
flat out says that none of the laws apply to private citizens. Flat out. They
Yeah.
only apply to government workers. That's it.
Right.
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 So, yeah,
Right. So they're working for them. We are representing ourselves as men or women in our own jurisdiction, and we don't service them. Those workers are servicing the corporation. We are not.
correct, correct. Now, that's for family court, okay?
Right.
For traffic court, it's a little bit different. And if you've ever been to traffic court, you'll probably notice that there's never a lawyer there. It's either an ex-copper, nobody shows up, or they're self-rep.
Right.
And then you got the crown attorney, right? Now, generally speaking, before you actually go in front of the judge, the crown will come to you and say, listen, this is what we're dealing with today. How do you want to handle it? So at that point, I always bring the same documents with me because they stand. It's supreme law. There is no
Right.
higher law on the land.
Yep.
And you present the crown attorney with that, and 99.9% of the time they're going to drop the case right away because they have absolutely no ground to stand on, and you could actually escalate it to the Supreme Court where you're going to win anyway. So
How
yeah, that's how I
interesting.
handle those guys.
So, but you haven't had full success. You're still in the process of it. So what
Oh
happened?
no, I've had full success in traffic court for stuff
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
I'm sorry. So give me
Yeah.
okay, so you have gone through the full process. So what happens then? That's where it ends right there. And
Yeah. So then once you talk to the crown, you go back into the court. The judge calls both of you up, and the crown will just say, "Okay, I've decided to drop the charges," and the judge says, "Okay," end of story.
that's how the Crown says it. I've decided to drop the charges.
Yeah.
Doesn't say why.
Nope.
Really?
Yeah, because there's other people sitting in there, right? They don't want to
Wow.
start a fire, right? So
How
they're very
interesting.
careful. Like the court is very how do you say? They know how to speak. There's a
Yes,
very specific language you got to speak when you go to the courtroom. You know what I mean?
correct.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, they've created their own language, right? It's kind of like their own monopoly game, like literally.
correct.
And
Yeah,
you're in there unbeknownst to you any of the rules.
correct. Yeah,
It's like I don't know what like a cartoon court, like it's ridiculous. So but this,
absolutely.
yeah, and it's really important to go into our own jurisdiction, which is the public courts, and not in the civil process. Like that is so key. And I
Absolutely.
know Christopher says that constantly. Um,
Yep.
it's that simple. So you go ahead and when you're filing your court case, because I'm getting emails from people saying, I have this court case, and I don't know what to tell them because I'm not a counselor. I should maybe learn and teach myself, and I could become a common law counselor or something.
Yeah,
But we
absolutely.
need them. But
We
so
do, and I think that's the direction we're going to be heading.
yeah,
Because I tell you something, when Trump wins, and he's going to win,
yep. Oh
everything
yeah,
changes.
yeah, he
Everything
wins.
changes, and because of what Norman's doing with Chapter 27,
Yep.
which is, I don't even know if Trudeau noticed that when he signed it, because he's an idiot. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but he basically cut his own throat, because we
Yeah.
all know what's going on with that guy. So, things are definitely going to start
Yeah,
changing.
he's been probably chosen as the fall guy. That's how I see it.
And interestingly enough,
Yeah.
I believe it was also Ezra who had pointed out earlier or late last week that Christina Friedland has
Yeah.
some interesting ties to George Soros.
Yes, I knew
We
that.
already know that her and Trudeau have been talking with him, but her
Yep.
family ties, her father is tied into him too. That's pretty crazy.
Exactly. And
You know,
interesting for the USMCA agreement, why she was sent down to sign that agreement and not Trudeau. In fact,
yeah.
you don't see Trudeau going anywhere. So
And that's kind of interesting in itself because
yeah.
the word in the community is he was placed under military arrest in January, December, and that's why he and his wife are no longer together. I'm not sure if people know that, but she's at the cottage and he's at the house. So
Yeah, and we don't know
that wasn't put out in
everything.
the public. No, that wasn't put out into the news.
Yeah, and we're saying these are the this is the information that's going around that we don't know or
We
can
don't
back
100% know.
up, but it's
Yeah.
intentional that way, perhaps, because there's a lot of things like that out there. And
Yeah. But he hasn't left
but
his house much.
but you know what? It really helps to get people to start looking at things and putting pieces together, which helps you to become more of a critical thinker. And I think that is what is important. And that is what's helping people to start thinking. Because typically we're saying,
Yeah.
give me the information, tell me what it is. No,
Correct.
think it through. And I think this is perhaps why a lot of this is unfolding this way, so that we do that, and we need that process in our minds. We need to come out
Absolutely.
of that hypnosis, that MK Ultra mind control, like literally.
Yeah. Oh,
So
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, how
Yeah.
interesting. And so okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So actually, one of the last times I was in family court, it was pretty interesting because I was actually threatening to arrest the crown attorney and my wife's lawyer, Ian Valance. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but with pushing laws that aren't actually laws in regards to income tax. And I had actually written to the Upper Canada Law Society saying what I was going to do in court. And when I showed up at court that morning, I got greeted by security at the front door at the Elgin
Really?
Street Courthouse. Oh yeah,
Wow.
very nice colored gentleman though, very nice, very respectful to me.
Okay.
And that was the first time that ever happened. So he kind of pointed me in the direction I had to go. And so when the judge allowed me to speak, I was not happy, and I was like screaming at them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the interesting at the end of that, the judge granted me time with the justice of the peace just down the hallway, and the justice of the peace is the one who taught me about civil arrest and how to do it.
Really?
So yeah, so that was kind of like the courts in that respect kind of worked in my favor.
Sure did.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe the judge well, maybe the judge was trying to help you. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. Well, I think she knows what's going on, because one of the things I've been trying to prove in the case is that my ex-wife is brainwashing my kid. Because they actually did successfully have the access moved to the Parkdale Center.
Okay.
And it took her about 3 months to get, because they do like intake interviews for her, myself, and the child.
Sure.
And she initially didn't do it. So I had to go back to court and force their hand.
Okay.
So when she finally did start doing it, that lasted about 3 or 4 visits. And the last one I saw him at Christmas, and he flat out told me to my face that I was not his dad. So
oh, I'm so sorry for that. I'm so sorry.
So and he's at the point now in age where he's an adult and he can make his own decisions. But
sure.
I definitely still want to finish this come February. So yeah, now I carry around the Civil Rights Act with me wherever I go. I have this kind of nice little envelope here I keep it in my car on my person at all times, just in case. Because the other thing you could do too,
Yeah.
that I've done with police officers, specifically the OPP, which I love, by the way, because the
Yes,
OPP seem to have their shit more together than the police cops in the cities do.
I agree.
I know a sergeant here in Perth, Derek Needham. He actually might be hired now. I haven't spoken to him in a couple of years, but very respectful people. And so when they pull me over, I have the laws right in my car, and I have to educate the police on the side of the road.
Yes. Yes.
But 99.9% of the time, they look at it and they're scratching their heads in kind of like disbelief, and
Yes.
they let me go.
Yeah,
You know what I
and
mean?
you know,
So,
they're trained in their system in the civil process.
yeah,
They're trained, that's what they know, with all the good intentions that a lot of these police officers have, like you say, especially with the OPP. And Norman and I had great success and positivity with the OPP in Ottawa throughout the course of the summer when we were there a lot of the times doing what we were doing. And yeah, they're under that civil process. They are
yeah, they are.
working for the service corporation. They are
Correct. Because they're
literally,
actually, yeah,
they
they're
have
the
no
Ontario
rights.
government. They're
Do you
provincial.
know, they have
You
no
know?
rights.
Yep.
They gave their rights away to them,
Yeah, they
as
did.
they did, and they don't even know it.
No, they don't.
So when a cop says, "Do you understand me?" No, I don't stand
No,
under
I
you.
don't. I'm sorry. Would you like me to educate you?
Yeah, like
You
no,
know
I
what I
don't
mean?
understand. I
But
don't.
always be respectful, you know, like always be
Yeah,
respectful. I mean, as soon as you start getting like angry or whatever, then that kind of turns the page, you know what I mean? So you got to be careful.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we can have a
We're all human
conversation.
beings.
Exactly. We all have children and families and a life to live and air to breathe, right? So, um, it's just a misconception. It's a lie. It's so many things. So we have
Yep,
been divided and compartmentalized, and we are now starting to question and come together and learn a lot of these things. So, I just
absolutely.
find
Yeah.
now, have you been to the public courts for anything else other than that time? Like you said, you've been
No, I
successful.
haven't.
Okay.
No.
So that was your one success story for the public courts, which is fantastic, by the way.
Well, I've had, let's see, three.
Excellent.
Three, and they were all traffic. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
whatever,
Can you give an
you know,
example?
so.
I want you to, so others can know what the process is and what maybe key words are to say and how to empower yourself in the courthouse.
Well, one of the charges they slapped me with was driving under a suspended license,
Okay.
because the FRO had suspended my license,
Right.
and they
That's
could
the
think that
Family
the FRO,
Responsibility Office, the FRO.
yeah, they never sent me notice, and that's a big no-no. They seem to think they can get away with that too. They
Okay.
have to send you notice. They
Yes.
have to, because
Yes.
how are you supposed to know?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So the one time they did this to me, the cop pulled me over and they charged me, and they had my car towed and impounded and all that jazz. And so I went into the courts, and I did what I explained earlier. When the Crown Attorney came to me, I just kind of laid down those laws and the case law that backed it up, and that was the end of the story. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
okay. Yeah, pretty simple. Oh, wait, your sound just went.
Oh,
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, it's a very simple process, isn't it? And people should not feel intimidated or afraid to take that step. Of course, because we were raised in a legal system, the civil process system, it's all we know. You know, we watch Law and Order, we watch movies. That's all we
which is
know,
programming in itself. You know what I mean? Like
right?
they're setting off in a particular direction, which isn't necessarily correct. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
so
programming. Yeah. So it's just a matter of learning the right terminology, taking those capital letters off our name, keeping I am as in I, small I, not capital I. The dot on the I is the head of the man. Literally, this is how things are looked at in their world. And
correct.
it is our world. And we've been in a bubble. So we have to relearn these things, but they are simple. So just want to
And the
encourage
other
everyone.
thing that just came to mind as well when it comes to stuff like this, like you have to understand that the Crown has an obligation and a duty,
Yes.
and if they should so happen to think that they can override that, you can actually charge them. right, under the Civil
Right.
Rights Act.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
that's a whole nother level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when
Now
you're carrying the
somebody like
files on.
Adam might want to consider that because they're shutting
Yeah,
down his livelihood, right?
that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's a severe thing, and this man will go down in history. There's no question.
Yep.
What an incredible week this has been, actually.
Oh man, it's actually in a way kind of liberating because
Yes,
I personally find Skelly a hero. You know,
yes.
and I think Randy Hillier's a hero too,
Oh,
and even
yes.
guys
Randy
like
Hillier, absolutely. He did a protest in Toronto yesterday at Queen's Park at 10 o'clock in the morning and protesting the lockdowns. And that man is standing up as a politician, standing up and saying what is and what shouldn't be and what's fraudulent and the communism. It is communism, the
oh, absolutely it is.
Marxism.
Yeah,
And and he's really speaking out loud, even in the House of Commons. He's
yeah.
speaking up. He's not
Well,
letting this go.
look at all the stuff he dug up with the RFQs for the internment camps. Like, what the?
I
You
know.
know, even numbers coming out of the Toronto Sun for actually how many COVID patients they have in the hospitals. It's
Yeah.
like nothing. Why are we in a? This is a pandemic. This is not.
And the piece, is it the PCR testing? How,
Yeah, they're all false positives. You know what I mean, or whatever. It's
yeah, he's
crazy.
bringing a lot up as a politician. I'm impressed by that. Pierre Polyev has a loud,
Oh,
impressive voice as well. He
I
speaks a
love
little bit,
Gauer.
yeah, like he speaks well. He's a young guy. He's really trying to mark his way in on the right side. It looks like that's his intention. You're playing in their arena, though. This
Yeah,
is their politics.
that's
And
correct.
this
Yeah,
is where we have to start saying, wait a second. You
yeah.
guys have great energy, great insight, great thoughts, great leadership.
Yep,
We now need to make our own arena that's built for the man and the woman, that's in natural law, that's in common law. We
absolutely.
really need to do that.
Yep,
And where we can empower ourselves, work with a consensus, and work together for
that's
what's
correct.
best for our communities.
Are you guys familiar with two individuals that have gone through this process already in Canada?
did
Have
you
you kind
say,
of looked at the history of this,
sorry, can you say that again? The history of what?
of common law and people trying to bring it to the forefront?
Oh, okay. I haven't looked into enough cases currently, or just all.
I'm talking about actually the ones I'm referring to are kind of going back to about one of them early 2000, the other one maybe 20, 2008-ish, and maybe
Okay.
beyond a bit. The two
Yeah.
I'm referring to is Robert Menard,
Okay.
and the second one is Dean Clifford.
And who are they?
So Dean Clifford was the one I actually learned the case law from. He's a gentleman from out Alberta way, and he was actually, this is no word of a lie, he was going through the court process for driving around without a license, which, by the way, is actually lawful. Okay.
Right, because we own the roads.
We own the roads. That's right.
Right.
And it's just a money grab. And a control grab. So anyway, but Dean had been caught multiple times, and I guess the RCMP were getting a little bit livid about it, and because Dean was at that point doing seminars around Canada, and people would come and he'd explain how to do what we're talking about. Okay, and he did a meeting in Brampton. And all
Okay.
of a sudden, the Brampton cops came in and scooped him up during the middle of this seminar. And everybody got on video and stuff. And they ended up shipping him out to back to Alberta, where he had to go through court there because there was some kind of warrant. And they actually kept him in jail for almost a year.
What?
They were like putting the squeeze on him because he was saying all this stuff, like we were saying that the government can't do this and whatnot. And it's actually a really good research topic, and the government actually went as far as scrubbing his YouTube page and his Facebook page and all that stuff. So when you start digging for it, you got to dig deep.
Yeah, and when
The
you
government does
really,
not want you to find this guy because he hit the nail on the head. I tell you, like, he's so smart.
yeah, when they
You
come
know?
down hard on these guys like they are with Adam, and it'd be very interesting to watch what they did with him. What it
Yep.
means, these people are hitting truth, but they're hitting where
That's right.
we have power. And when
Yeah,
we have power, they don't want others to know. They don't want us to spread this,
absolutely.
because we really do. We just have to know that and
Yeah,
act on it.
yeah,
Anyway,
that's right.
yeah, I will look into that. That's very interesting.
Yeah. So, and I
I'll
know
have
I saw Dean around on Twitter about 6 months ago, but then he disappeared again
okay.
because the government really keeps their eye on that guy, which is unfortunate because he's a wonderful man. So,
Yeah,
he even actually went as far as writing to Vlad Putin,
really.
explaining to him, yeah, because Vlad
Okay.
Putin's an interesting guy. I know he kind of thinks he's an emperor, but he has done some good things for his country.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
interesting to dig in further and look into these things. Well, no, okay, so common law court, you've gone there 3 times, you've succeeded 3 times. And key things to say when you're in the courtroom. Can you just go over that again?
Oh, geez, just like keep it simple. You gotta. Oh gosh, I wish I had that email I sent to you. Then I'd be able to remember better. I
That's
don't
okay.
really think there's a key thing. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like it's just,
Yeah. Well, what
it's
are the
just the way
wording? Like when you represent yourself, what are you saying? What do you say? How do you represent yourself? How do you start or open that?
uh, well, like I said, the instances that I went, I didn't have to go that far
Do you
because I
just
already
say
dealt with.
I the man? Like you don't even use the name Derek.
No, that's right.
So,
I,
for example, right?
I, yeah.
Okay, so that's what you say. Okay, then what would you say next, for instance?
Said I disagree with what's going on here. This is uh this is like a civil rights type of violation,
Okay.
and you just show them the evidence. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And kind of go from there.
Okay, and then
So
you are quoting some of the laws, right? You're reading them back to
correct, yeah, yeah. And, well, not yeah, the laws, but also the case law on rulings that have been applied to cases like that.
correct.
You know what I mean? That's the important thing, especially since those rulings are coming out of the Supreme Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court, because those are the two highest courts in the land.
Right,
So
and
there's absolutely no way they can argue it.
yeah, you're referencing back to something that actually has won in the courts, and you're
Yeah.
comparing and saying,
And the
you've done
thing
it
is,
here. Yeah,
they, yeah, the Crown has to prove that you're an agent of the government. You're working on behalf of the government, which isn't the case because I don't get a paycheck every month from the government,
right.
but I'm paying them income tax every time I
So
get
that's
paid.
important to clarify that I am not in the civil process. You are,
Yes,
but I'm
I am
not.
not. I am not you. I am me.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. And they try
So
so hard to bring you in there, right? That's
yeah,
their objective. Yeah.
and I'd like to actually offer a video if you can find it on YouTube by a man named David Sidney Rideout. Look that
Ride
guy up.
out. What's his last name?
Rideout.
How do you spell?
Rideout. Rideout.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can send you the link actually
Okay.
afterwards, so
And
you can
who is
check
this
that out.
man?
Now, this man is a gentleman from the States. That the video I'm thinking of in particular kind of looks like it was done maybe early '90s. Just
Okay.
by his attire, it kind of looks like some kind of like a plaid type of dress jacket. You know what I mean? And he really does a good job of going through and explaining what it means to be you. And what it means to be you is that you got to separate the body from the soul. Because every time we sign a contract, we're signing with our body. We're not signing with our soul. And that's one thing people have to understand.
Correct.
Right? So once you make that differentiation, it opens up kind of doorways. You
That's
know
what
what I
I
mean? And he
learned as
even
well. Yeah.
explains, and he explains to people how to sign legal documents properly
Yes. Right.
as a CEO or an owner of a company would sign. Because if a CEO or an owner of a company signs legal documents, they are not legally bound to those documents.
If they actually
Right?
sign it.
The proper way.
What's the proper
Yeah.
way? Can you give me
So,
an
okay,
example?
so when it's at the bottom where it says signature, you write per, PER, colon, okay, sign your name, and then at the top right corner, you say, what the heck is it? I can't remember what it is, but anyway,
Okay.
I'll link it, but because I
Yeah.
haven't done it in a long time. But
Send it to me. I'll try and add it in the description. Sure.
yeah, yeah, it's pretty interesting. So when you sign a document like that, you have no legal bound to it.
Yeah, very interesting.
Oh,
And
it's
do
pretty interesting.
you sign it like if you did a cursive signature, you can do that, or do you use a thumbprint? Because I've
Oh
seen
yeah,
now Christopher uses a thumbprint because
you can
that's
do that too.
right. Okay.
Both ways are good.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's the per colon that's the important part
Okay. I'll have to
because
look into that.
that separates the body and the soul.
Right.
So
Oh, interesting.
it's pretty interesting.
I like that.
You
And
know?
also look up Black's Law Dictionary. It's a common law
Yes,
dictionary. Very good book. Very
very
good
good book.
terms in there to learn and understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and actually, David Sidney Rideout goes through that process as well.
Yes.
So because there's
Excellent.
some very interesting definitions for specific words that people should know.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. Well,
So,
there's a whole new career here, folks. If you want to be a counselor in common law, I think you could do very well if you invest some time in learning about it. Um, yeah, okay. So you know what? I'm just so happy to have you on to go through
yeah,
that
it's great to be
process.
here.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I really appreciate you reaching out to me
No problem.
and coming forward with your own case. So it's really important to get the word out, share
Yep.
this with everybody, so we learn from each other. And it's as simple as that. Derek reached out to me, and I responded, and here we are, and we're sharing. We're
Yeah,
sharing back to
and
you.
I think maybe Amina, we should probably talk further because I'd like to pursue maybe doing something like I said Dean was doing. Maybe do some seminars with some people. Obviously, at this point with COVID, that might be a bit of a thing. But once we're past this, I think it'd be a good opportunity for us to educate people better.
Absolutely. I'm
You know what I
always
mean?
open to
So,
that. I mean, I've been running a meetup in the blockchain space for 3 years and helping educating people in Ottawa.
yeah,
Used to run it bi-monthly, like consistently. So I'm all for that. Education is key.
yep,
And our community it's really important if we can do that in our communities. So,
correct.
and reach out to your local councillors and MPs and knock on their doors and ask questions and demand things,
That's
because
right.
that's how we make change. So that's also really
Right.
important. I do have a petition that I had started with Norman, and it's out there, and we're getting signatures back. So I'm going to do an update on that as well at some point.
Is that the one for the million signature with Trudeau?
No, we just started a petition to raise enough signatures to question our CMP for to hold them up to their role as their CMP to investigate financial crimes like SNC
Oh
level
yeah,
and things like that. So we're just, and it's
yeah.
really, honestly, I thought, how do we get Canadians to rise up and get involved and get active?
Yes.
Let's get a petition, but let's get a petition where they actually have to come and write it and sign it and mail it in, not just on your phone and click a button, because that's when you start engaging consciousness, and we really need to do that. So
Yeah, we do.
it's whatever we all can do. It's
Even if
really,
we do like Zoom meetings or something like that, you know what I mean? As
oh
long as
yeah,
we're getting the word out, that's the main thing.
it's
You
important.
know?
I agree. I
So,
absolutely agree and look forward to that. Yeah, so if there's anything else you want to add, or how about where can they find you, reach you? You have a YouTube channel, correct?
yes, I have a YouTube channel. It's called Future Eclipse. You can find me there. I also have it on 7 podcast platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, and a couple of other ones. If you want to reach out to me, you can send me an email at drexxhaze@gmail.com.
Can you send me those
That's
links?
pretty much it. You can look me up on Facebook too, Derek Gauer, if you
Okay.
like. I always put lots of good things on my Facebook page. It's like my
Excellent.
news feed.
Excellent. So send me your links. I'll put them in the description of the video. So
Will
people
do.
click on the little arrow at the bottom of the video, and it opens up the description, and then you'll find a lot more information there. Some people don't know. So I just want to say that. Excellent. Yeah, we'll put those links up there for you. Thank you so much, Derek, for being here today.
Thank you, Amina.
Great conversation, great information. So
Yeah, it was really good.
really appreciate it, Derek. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Yeah, you
Okay.
too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye now.